Yes, people, what's happening? And welcome to the Frankie Allen Podcast, hosted by myself, Will Cranny, alongside the UK's most feared comedian, Frankie Allen. Frank,
that's me, today? Frankie Allen, UK's most feared comedian. On a great day today. Out early, went up to Kirby, met a mate of mine, had a lovely breakfast. Very enjoyable day because there was a big bin wagon coming down the main road there in the Kirby town centre, and they stopped, beeped the horn, this guy jumped out, and Frankie said, can I have a picture? So a photograph of these lads off the bins. So a bit of a buzz, it was great, yeah.
Nice one. Bit
of recognition.
I was laughing with Frank, same thing happened to me yesterday, and the same thing happened to our support comedian and one of our mates yesterday, so this must be fucking flying. I don't know what's going on at the moment, but bathroom guy comes to my house yesterday, and I open the door and I was like, what's happening, mate? I'm Will, nice to meet you. And he goes, I know who you are, mate, I follow you on Facebook with your dad. I was buzzing. I was absolutely made up, but yeah. It gets a bit weird, doesn't it? It does feel weird. Like.
It feels a bit strange. I've never kind of been used to it. I mean, I've had it before, but it seems to have gone like twice as many people now. I got asked for a photograph in JD Sports last week and yeah. Different places, shops and whatever, people beeping the horn. So it can get on your nerves sometimes, but fucking hell, you know. Famous, what can you say?
Yeah. Kilvo was saying to me, he watches this Comedians in Cars thing with Jerry Seinfeld. Have you ever watched it?
No.
Jerry Seinfeld's like a huge comedian, isn't he?
He's the richest comedian in the world.
Is he, yeah?
Yeah.
I thought that was you.
No, not me. I haven't got a penny. I haven't earned a penny since March.
Anyway, Jerry Seinfeld takes these fellas around in cars.
Yeah.
And he said he was interviewing this guy called Zach Galifianakis. Now, he's in a lot of films.
I've seen him, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen him. I think he's in The Hangover.
Greek American, yeah.
In The Hangover and a few others. And he said... Zach Galifianakis said, I hate it when people ask me for a photograph.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of anything worse. It does me head in. Why did they have to ask for a photograph? And Jerry Seinfeld said to him, I don't agree with you, mate. What are you on about? He said, that's like, you're in the public eye. You are in the public eye. That's what it's about.
So you have to accept that, yeah.
100%. Don't you think? If anyone asks you for
oh, yeah, you can't be kind of snotty with people. You can't be dismissive, you know. People... They're the people that are paying you wages.
Yeah, of course.
They're people who go to the shows and to get on the podcasts, to get on the vlogs and things. They're the people, they're the public. And if you get recognised, obviously, that's a feather in your cap.
Oh, isn't it just? So have you've been buzzing since this morning? So
not buzzing, because I'm kind of used to it.
Yeah.
You know, I get it everywhere and anywhere that I go to, I get recognised. But it's nice... Sometimes when you're not expecting it, you know, it's a straight to get recognised by the bin men.
Yeah.
You know, by this truck just going down the street, and then he start beeping the horn. The fella must have had good eyes to see me at the lights.
Yeah.
But to go to the extent where they jump out, then ask you for a photo and have a little chat and things, it's amazing, it's great.
Brilliant. So we've got loads to talk about today. We put out the Blackpool vlog last night. Tell us about that. Not the Blackpool vlog, sorry, I'm getting mixed up. We put out the Manchester.
You put out the Manchester Bread Shed.
The Bread Shed Manchester, which we did two sold out nights there just before Christmas. Yeah. Actually felt a bit weird because, like, it's what, August now? Is it June?
It's August now, but don't forget, we've had the coronavirus to contend with. That's been nearly 5 months. You know, people don't realise it's 5 months since it started.
Is it?
Yeah, since we started. This is March. We've had the whole of March, April, May, June, July. That's 5 months. So it's crazy. You know, I've gone 5 months without any work. I'm working again soon. So things are lifting. Things are looking well. Things are looking great. And our podcasts and the live broadcasts we've done really kept my sanity, really. I would have gone on my fucking head, you know, with boredom.
Yeah, we've had a mad week in terms of podcasts, though, because at the moment, like, obviously, these channels are growing all the time. We really appreciate everyone coming on, you know, lots of views, lots of watches. I really appreciate it. But, like, anyone out there who wants us to jump on any, you know, what's Frank's to jump on any of the videos, we're up for it, we're not asked. But on Monday, we jumped on this podcast with this Irish fella, right?
Oh, so funny.
Like,
the fella was an Irish guy and he had his own podcast and he invited us on it. We were on it. And he just he came across, with no disrespect to him, he just came across as a very kind of like ordinary guy. You know, he had a beard, bald head, about 48, 50. So and then he said, oh, I'll do a little bit on the stage myself. And everybody says that.
Yeah.
They say, you know, you get people saying I'm good on the karaoke or you want to see me doing card tricks. So when he said that, I said, yeah, okay, mate, you know, didn't take him seriously.
Yeah.
So he went, I do Michael Jackson around the clubs, I do an impression of Michael Jackson. So Will said, I'm not being funny, you don't look like Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And he said, well, it's more or less the voice, because the voice is so good as Michael Jackson. That's what sells it. So I looked at him.
Sound alike, not look alike.
Sound alike. So I went, yeah, okay. And I looked at him and thought, you can't do Michael Jackson, mate.
Yeah.
This is just fucking rubbish.
Bear in mind, by the way, this is going out live.
Going out live.
We don't know that this fella...
So he didn't know. So I said to him, go on, do Michael Jackson. He said, well, give me a song to sing. So I thought he was kind of bluffing, playing for time.
Yeah.
He said, what one? I said, well, go on, sing Billie Jean. So he sang Billie Jean. I tell you what, I had a shiver down my spine. You would have thought Michael Jackson was in the room. Absolutely fantastic. Never heard anything like it in my life. Never heard anybody sounding so much like Jackson. And
yeah, but
his voice was great. It was fantastic.
His voice is coming out of just this normal fella.
It just seemed weird because he's like, just like a, you know...
Just your average guy.
Yeah. Carrying a little bit of weight, as we all do when we get a bit older. Beard going grey. And looking at him thinking, is this, what the fuck is this? He got like Michael Jackson tape behind him. Because it just, obviously there was no accompaniment, there was no music. But the Michael Jackson was fantastic. You've got to give him that. Nice
one. So, look, anyone who was listening or watching last week, we went through a full thing of all the photos in Frankie's house, spoke at length about different photographs that he had, and obviously all these photographs up here, which one of them has changed today. And the reason this has changed is because last week you couldn't see this photograph. We spoke about it at length, with it being the photograph. It's a still image from the film Al's Lads that Frank was in. So do us a favour, Frank, just tell us, first of all, why have you moved this photo to here?
Because we were speaking last week about the movie. Yeah. We'd done about 20 minutes on it, saying how I ended up in a film with Al Capone, how I got a part in the movie as Al Capone. And little did I realise that the actual still from the movie was on the other wall. So I'm talking about the movie, but it would have been great to have been talking about it and people could have seen a still from the movie, so they could have referenced it in their mind and thought, oh yeah, he's talking about, that's the guy that played Al Capone. So we've got it up now on this wall.
Okay, so fill us in. Middle guy, he's the main guy, isn't he?
Julian Littman, the actor, he's quite a famous actor, and he played the part of Al Capone in the film, and it was a top movie. You know, it won the Cannes Film Festival. Wasn't for some weird, strange reason, it didn't go on general distribution in the British Isles, but it done very well in North America and South America. It was a big movie.
Yeah, is that because the lad had the Scouse accent and it didn't really sound...
I'm not sure. No, it didn't. They didn't release it in England.
I have watched it on DVD.
Oh, but what I'm saying is it went straight to DVD.
Yeah, I got you.
They didn't because... I'm not sure if it didn't appeal.
They didn't think
to the English audience. It didn't really sell, so it wasn't a film that you went to the showcase to see, if you know what I mean.
Got you.
It went straight to DVD.
Your mate here?
That's my friend Dino, and this is just tell you this very briefly, that it was very strange that we were employed as extras. There was 200 extras for the movie, and as the movie progressed, you know, some of it there's still... You watch a movie and you notice that some of them don't really keep to the script. Richard Roundtree was in the movie, the guy who played Shaft, he was a fantastic actor. He didn't really keep to the script. He used to say little things a little bit differently. So you're kind of flying on the seat of your pants when you're making these movies, and they'll alter them a little bit. You know, they altered them. And they altered it where they wanted two guys as bodyguards, speaking parts to Al Capone. So the producer, director, they walked around, all the extras, and they picked me out. 200 guys picked me out, and they said, you look like an Italian-American gangster. Put me in the movie, and Dino is Italian anyway, and Italian Scouser. So they put him in the movie. They both were bodyguards to Al Capone.
So these two bodyguards, this guy's actually your mate in real life. That's the actor.
I was the godfather to his son, yeah. He's Dino, and he's a good friend of mine. He's and he got the parts as Al Capone, as Al Capone's bodyguard.
So we were just talking off camera before this about a guy that you met who was in The Sopranos. I mean, a lot of our audience will love The Sopranos. So,
well, the guy that starred in this movie, there were 2 or 3 stars, but one of the stars was Al Sapienza. Now look Al Sapienza up on your phone. He's very high profile. He's a Hollywood star. He's been in a lot of Steven Seagal movies, a lot of action movies.
Yeah.
He's been in...
Does he look like an Italian fella?
Yeah, he looks kind of, like a gangster.
Yeah.
So he's been in a lot of movies over the years. He's probably about 50 now. He appeared in the first series of The Sopranos, and he featured in a lot of the episodes. And he was in Al's Lads. We got to know him quite well. I got to know him. He was a good lad. And we went out when we finished filming, when the film was a wrap. We all went down to Trials in Liverpool. It's a bar in Liverpool, with a big room upstairs. And he's a big Beatles fan, so he was over the moon being in Liverpool. And he was singing Beatles songs. We had a band, and we all kind of got very close, all the cast.
Yeah.
So we got talking to him, and he just put an idea. He said, look, when I'm going back to New York, he said, I'll keep in touch. And he kept in touch, and he wanted us to go to the States to read for a couple of parts in The Sopranos. But disaster, as everybody knows, I can't fly, and to make it worse, this was just after 9/11.
Yeah.
So even people who could fly around the world and weren't scared, they got frightened, and a lot of flights were suspended. And I just said, look, I'll just have to wait. I mean, I'm sorry, obviously, fucking hell. Could have been in The Sopranos. I thought, no, I can't fly. When I found out it was 8 hours to New York, I went, no, I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, would you be up for being in like a gangster film or whatever? I mean, is a gangster film kind of like your vibe? Is that
gangster? Because I look like a gangster, and I am. I used to be a gangster in real life.
Go on.
I think that's my forte. I'd slot straight in, and I could speak languages as well. I could be kind of like Benny Blanco in Carlito's Way.
Would you like to do like one in the UK?
Anywhere, I'd like to.
Any directors watching?
Yeah, I'd play the part of a good gangster. But the weird thing is, the part I didn't like about being in a movie, you've got to get up too early in the morning. You've got to be kind of on location 5 a.m. and I don't go to bed till 4, so it was hard work.
Didn't you fall asleep in one of the scenes?
Yeah, we were doing a scene, and it was supposed to be the World Championship boxing match. The story was the Scouser and his mate went over to the States, started working for Al Capone. Capone's kid gets kidnapped. I got shot trying to rescue the kid, but that was all fucking edited out of the film, that scene. Took us 2 days to do it for some reason, all edited out. But when we were doing the Soldiers Field arena that's supposed to be in Chicago, Lister Drive School doubled up as the venue. Richard Roundtree was in the movie, who played Shaft, who was fantastic, and he was like at ringside with the Scouse boxer as his kind of in his corner. And that one, for some reason, they started filming at 4:30 in the morning. So I had to get a cab because I was too tired to drive down to this fucking school, Lister Drive School. And I remember sitting there at 4 o'clock and I was going, oh. And they were rehearsing and they weren't really filming and fucking about brushing this boxing ring out and adjusting the lights. And somebody was shaking me on the shoulder. John H. Tracy, former welterweight world champion, who's a very good friend of mine. He'd done the choreography for the movie with another mate of mine, Ray Nicholas, who's a fantastic international stuntman, Ray. And he woke me up and he said, Frank, he's an East End lad, Frank, fucking wake up, will ya? It's fucking 6:30. No one had noticed. I'd just been asleep for like nearly 2 hours.
Nice one. Would you be up for doing any acting though?
I'd love to do acting again. I'd just have to kind of work on my body clock and maybe get an hour in bed in the afternoon or something, a couple of hours, so I'll be ready for it,
So, have you ever done any TV work before?
Oh, I've been on TV. I started out, 1985 was the first time I was on the television, and what that was a friend of mine, Mickey Finn, a comedian, fantastic comedian, brilliant comedian, the biggest comedian on Merseyside at one stage, and been on the comedian shows in the 70s, who's a bit older than me. Yeah. And the new comedian show he was on in the 90s. Been on like the Les Dawson show. Been on a lot of shows doing comedy. Starburst, he was on.
Hey,
Great comic.
Just off topic, it was a weird one. I bumped into Les Dawson's daughter.
Oh yeah.
Just by chance when I was working in the old office, and she's doing really well for herself. You know, she's quite like a lot of people really like her online.
But they were from Yorkshire, weren't they? Does she live here? Does she?
Very funny. Does a lot of Instagram, Facebook type stuff. But that I find that dead interesting because it kind of like we were talking the other day about how that talent that Les Dawson clearly had to be able to tell jokes or make people laugh has gone down into his daughter.
Yeah.
Was he like a big, like huge famous deal
Les
back in the day?
Dawson was huge.
Yeah. He
was huge in the 70s, 80s and even 90s. He had a game show, Blankety Blank.
Oh, was that it? Yeah.
That was Les Dawson. I mean, Bob Monkhouse done it as well, but Les Dawson done it for a long time. And I think Marty Kane did it. She was a great comedian. She died. And also Lily Savage, you know,
oh, I know,
he's
Paul
done
O'Grady.
it. Yeah, he's done it. So, yeah, Les Dawson was huge. And Mickey Finn appeared on his show. But what happened was, we're getting back to the story, how I first appeared on a TV. Mickey Finn rang me, he said, look, there's Panorama, which is a news show, on you know, a documentary show, on which is still on now on the television. They want to do a thing in Liverpool. It was actually in Birkenhead, about an organisation called Merseyside Parents Against Drug Abuse.
Yeah.
So he said, okay. And he was kind of like a really clean comedian. He had a lovely, like, wholesome image.
Yeah.
So he didn't want to even kind of go on anything, even if it was raising money for drugs. See what I mean?
What do you mean, raising money for drugs?
Raising money for drug awareness, I should say.
He didn't want any association with it.
He didn't want any association with even the word drug in the thing.
No,
he didn't.
I get that.
So when he said, well, you do it, I didn't give a fuck what it was. You know, I said, yeah, I'll do it. I said, yeah, is it to get, you know, is it to raise money for drugs? Is it to buy drugs? I'll buy some. And they said, no, it's not that. What it is, it's an organisation on the Woodchurch estate in Birkenhead, which is fucking rough.
Yeah.
The Ford estate in Birkenhead, a pub called the Corsair, which a very good friend of mine was running at the time. And they just want to film you for 4 or 5 minutes, telling a few gags about drugs. And all the audience will be there. It's a big fundraising night for Wirral parents or Merseyside parents against drug abuse. And then we'll interview people in the audience of your son or daughter on drugs, and do you think this organisation helps? What did you think about Frankie telling gags about? And it was very good, it was great.
Yeah.
But the strangest thing, I'll tell you a little funny story about it. The strangest thing about it was this. I was only on for 4 to 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. But you can see it's me telling a few silly gags. I think it was something like, there's a sign on Paul McCartney's lawn, keep off the grass. It was just very kind of lightweight. No language, obviously, for the television at the time. You couldn't swear.
Which TV channel are we talking?
It was on BBC Panorama.
Like UK-wide or just local?
It was UK-wide.
Okay.
So it was UK-wide. Panorama's BBC One. It's on now, isn't it? It's like World in Action. It's like, you know, Newsnight. So anyway, didn't think anything of it. Now, it was 1985, was it, or 84? Anyway, at the time, strange thing, I got paid off the BBC. I think I got 150 quid just for those 5 minutes. So I was having a terrible time in 85. I'll just tell you the truth. I was in court for something that I wasn't involved with, which, you know, I was innocent of. And that was hanging over me. Anyone that's been to court had a big case hanging over them. You got to go to court, so you're worried about that. Couldn't get any work. The kind of like economically, I was really on the floor. I was in a bit of a bad state, and got a check one morning, and I was skint this week. It was strange. I had no money at all. Talking about no money to buy food, and I got this check, and I, what the fuck's this? And it said on a BBC and so and so, and it was like 200 quid. And I, what the fuck is this? And it was to Frankie Allen, so and so, Panorama, Merseyside Parents Against Drug Abuse, shown 4 times in South Africa. Royalties.
You're joking?
No. I said, you're fucking joking. So anyway...
Do you think it was a wind-up?
No, I just couldn't believe it. So it was 200 quid. Then a week later, got this thing for 80 quid because it had been shown in Israel.
Mad that.
Then a thing came United States, Australia, Canada. And a lot of these people on the TV, you don't realise, you know, when they... However, what is the contract they sign in the film or whatever, if it gets shown in different places around the world, they keep getting paid.
Okay.
So that literally kept me alive. You know, I was getting checks every couple of weeks because of this little tiny thing I'd done on the BBC.
You enjoy it?
So that was the first I enjoyed. That was the first time I went on television. Now, the next time I went on television after that has got to be 91, 92, about 6 or 7 years later. There was a programme on a television called Granada Up Front.
Wait there, what about Opportunity Knocks? Was that on television?
Oh, sorry, yeah, I've just missed 10 years. I went on Opportunity Knocks with Bob Monkhouse in 87.
That's the first time you've ever been on stage, on TV or not?
No, I've just told you I went on Panorama.
Panorama was first.
That was a documentary.
Okay. Yeah.
But it was a talent show, Opportunity Knocks. Huey Green used to run it in the 70s.
It's basically for anyone who's young, and, you know, about my age or younger, 30 years of age or younger, 35 or younger, Opportunity Knocks is or was what Britain's Got Talent is now.
Very similar to Britain's Got Talent, or what's the other one called?
X Factor.
The X Factor was a bit slicker than Britain's Got Talent. You know, it was kind of like very high profile. I mean, 16 million people watched the first episode.
Yeah.
So I auditioned for it, auditioned up in Manchester. I could have auditioned in Liverpool, just across the road here at the Grafton, but I knew too many people had put me off. So I went to Manchester.
Yeah.
And I got picked from 250,000 people that were auditioned. I got picked as the first act to appear on Opportunity Knocks, and it was filmed going live 21st of March 87 in Shepherd's Bush studio in London.
What was it like?
Fantastic.
Fill us in about, okay, right. So this is the biggest show at the time.
Yeah.
You are, what, like 30 something?
33.
So like peak, like you're thinking, fucking hell, if I smash this.
I thought I'm going to make it.
Yeah.
You know, I thought this is going to be... And even Bob Monkhouse said to me, Frankie, when we done the auditions, you were brilliant. You're going to be a huge success.
He was sound, Bob Monkhouse,
Good lad.
Yeah.
He said, you're going to be a huge success out of this show.
So
I was just like walking literally on cloud nine. I was with the script writers and things every day.
Fill me in on WhatsApp. What happens? Did you go down on the train? Did you get put up for the weekend?
I went down with my manager at the time from Manchester, Harry Barnes, good lad.
Yeah.
We got the train down there. We stayed in Chiswick in London. Went to rehearsals all week. And when it was filmed, went out live. It was everything I dreamed. I'd always dreamed of being, you know, walked into Studio 8. The BBC, it was the biggest studio in the BBC.
Yeah.
When I looked around, there's hundreds of cameramen. There's a fella kind of like on a railway track.
Yeah.
Which is going right up into like the ceiling. He's on a camera.
Yeah.
There's directors running round. There's people running up to you. You know, this girl running up going like that. Frankie, can I just have a go at your eyes? And putting makeup on you.
Yeah. The
whole atmosphere was fantastic. Everything that I'd ever dreamed of. I loved it. You know, before we went out live, 15 minutes before, half an hour before, the announcement, Frankie Allen to makeup, Frankie Allen to makeup. Go into makeup because the studio lights can really penetrate your skin. You can look bony. Nothing that makes you look thinner. People think it makes you look thinner. Your bones can kind of show through your skin. So they put a lot of makeup on you. I was looking good then, lost a lot of weight because I knew I was going on the TV, but I was struggling with my weight. And then I'm standing off camera. It's like the lights are blinding. It was fantastic. Bob Monkhouse is on introducing me, and the floor manager is standing there with his headphones on, and he's got this thing, and he's going, and they start counting down, and you know the countdown, and he's going, 10 seconds. 7 seconds going live. Then quiet please on the studio floor going live. 3 seconds cue, Frankie. Then I was on. And it was just such a buzz. It was great.
Were you nervous?
And I went on. To be honest, I was nervous. And I never get nervous. But it's stranger things that make you nervous. And although 16 or 17 million people were watching it, I wasn't nervous about that. What was making me nervous was my mum and dad had never seen me. Because I was a blue comedian, my mum was a bit of a church goer, bit kind of like, you know, she was a good Catholic. She didn't like language, she didn't like anyone swearing, because I was very blue. And although I wasn't swearing when I was on the television, because I knew it was the first time my mum was ever going to see me, it made me nervous.
Got you.
Just because my mum was going to watch. If she wouldn't have watched me. So I wasn't nervous at all until I started thinking about my mum. So I asked one of the girls who was a kind of researcher. So she got me this bottle of wine from her own locker. So I had a drink and it calmed me down. Yeah.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
Was she? So your mum was just watching it on TV though? She wasn't in the audience?
She wasn't in the audience. Oh, John, my brother and Vinny, John and Vinny, my two brothers, came down. They surprised me. It was fantastic seeing them there in the studio. Yeah, they came down.
Give you a bit of a chill.
I had a couple of mates who were living in London at the time that came along, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, sorry, you go on the show.
Yeah.
What's your performance like?
My performance was great and I won in the studio. I won it. But at the time, the weird thing was, for anyone to win Opportunity Knocks, you had to win with the British public. And the way that the voting system was then was you had to ring up a number. The number was in the Radio Times. You had to phone out 0800 so-and-so, so-and-so 5 if you wanted me.
Yeah.
The same number but a 4 if you wanted Kerry Wilson. She was on doing impressions. She was brilliant though. She's very good.
Yeah.
She's only a young kid, 18 and 19. And Four Wheel Drive, a band from Cheltenham, they were very good. There was this Greek fella was on playing the piano. He was brilliant. Classical pianist. About 6 or 7 acts on. So I thought I had a really good chance of winning. And just fantastic. I felt like a Hollywood star. Going out for meals with Bob Monkhouse. Thought I was on my way to becoming a star. And when the phone vote came, people were phoning up on the Saturday night. They read out the results on the Sunday, and I didn't win.
What happened next?
Kerry Wilson won.
Did she become famous?
Well, she's not now. She's not even working now. She never stayed at it.
Oh, okay.
She got a limited degree of success.
Exposure.
She was very good, don't get me wrong. And when I saw her, I thought, fucking hell, you know, I'm going to have to work hard if I want to beat her.
Yeah.
Because she'd done a lot of impressions at the time. EastEnders and Coronation Street. Characters who were very popular.
Yeah, current stuff.
So I thought, you know, but so I didn't win. I wasn't bitter about not, but I'm just showing you what can happen. You know, from being on Opportunity Knocks in 87, from thinking I had the world at my feet and I was going to be a big star. I'd been told by Bob Monkhouse I was going to be a big star. From there, literally 3 months later, I was fighting in this rough club.
Yeah, but how did that happen? I was dead curious about that because surely, you know, did mainstream press pick it up? Did Liverpool press pick it up? Did you get on like other TV shows, radio?
Well, what happened? The press picked it up. A couple of papers criticised me.
Saying what?
Just, you know, nothing new, and he's just a Scouse comedian. He's just like Stan Boardman was, and he's like a lot of old Liverpool kids, just trying to bring something back. And somebody criticised me. Funny enough, none of the national papers criticised me. It was a woman that was working for the Liverpool Echo. They kind of, my own local paper criticised me, but nobody else.
That's
very sad, isn't it? It's very sad.
Yeah.
They savaged me. My own fucking paper.
Go on, what
but
did
out
they
of
say?
town. Well, I'm not. Can I mention a woman's name?
Don't mention the woman's name, but just tell us what the fuck she said.
They just said we had Frankie Allen on, nothing new. He just sounded like Stan Boardman. He was moving his mouth like Stan Boardman. Stan's a great comic, but I'm not anything like Stan Boardman.
Yeah.
And I just like old stuff, and it just criticised me. But a lot of the other papers, Margaret Forwood, she wrote a glowing report about me. This fellow's going to go far. He's fantastic. But you can get all that. You can get praised in the media. But if you don't get approached by anyone to go into a movie or to, you know, or I think you'll be good hosting a TV series or a game show, what do you do? Where do you go from there? So I was just back in the same position that I was before I did Op Knocks. In fact, kind of went a bit worse and a bit embarrassing because I was still working the same clubs and people were saying, oh, you guy was on Op Knocks and didn't you win and what happened and all, how come you're back working here? So a bit of a come down there.
So yeah, go on. you've done that opportunity knocks, and obviously we've done a podcast, the first episode of the podcast, if you want to go back and check that out, about what happens next. But I'm interested in more of the TV stuff for this particular episode. So like, that's a big bit of exposure, yeah?
Yeah.
When was the next time you went on television after that?
The next time I went on television, not because of opportunity knocks, but because of the reputation I was getting in Manchester, really, I think that's how I filtered through. I was working nearly every night in Manchester and Yorkshire. It was very popular up there.
Yeah.
I was doing a lot of the stag shows with strippers. It was all men, so I was very blue. Used to savage people in the crowd, picking on people. Just basically what I do now. But I started to get very well known in Manchester. And somebody came on from Granada Television that wanted me to go on to play kind of devil's advocate in Granada up front, which was a show that was hosted by Anthony Wilson, Tony Wilson, who's passed away sadly. This is the guy.
He's very famous in money.
Very famous, Tony Wilson. And he actually discovered a lot of bands. I'm sure he discovered Stone Roses and different bands. And he started the Hacienda Club in Manchester.
Got it.
So he's very kind of like, he was very high profile and very kind of like the Vogue. He was very well known, very kind of famous with the Manchester club scene and all the Manchester bands. He had his own show on Granada Television, but it was very confrontational. They wanted people in the audience to argue with people who were in, who were kind of like, the show was based on, they'd have two people sitting out front in the studio talking about separate things, people from the audience, but they wanted it to kind of get a bit rowdy.
What was it about?
It was live.
What was it about?
Well, one of the first episodes I went on, Liverpool as a city was having a bit of a bad time for different reasons. I think this is 91 or 92, and it was being portrayed in the press. There were a lot of running gags about Scousers being robbers and being dishonest and all this stuff. And this professor had brought out a report, and the report was that Liverpool has been the architect of its own destruction, self-pity city. Basically, all he was doing in this fucking report was saying that people are very belligerent, which means they're always up for a night of fight and an argument.
Yeah.
They're all on a short fuse. He was calling us lazy, and he was saying these different things about Scousers. And also John McCririck was on it. Now, you'll remember John McCririck. I know he passed away recently. He was the guy that wore the deerstalker hat with a monocle and the very big bushy hair.
He was always on for like the Grand National.
And he was going, yes, 3-1, off, it's that, all that. And they called him the Tic Tac Man.
Yeah.
So he was on as well.
Yeah.
I went down there with a friend of mine he's passed away, Big Fred, who, you know, Carl Fredericks, fantastic singer. So the two of us were in the crowd, you know, right at the front. It was all a bit of a setup. And this guy came on, having a go at Liverpool, slagging us down, you know. And this John McCririck, he said some terrible things about Liverpool, you know, he did on camera. And I'll tell you what he said.
Go on.
Because, I mean, I was on the thing, if you want to check up, it's there, what he said. He said, Liverpool is an abomination. He said, it's a cancer on the face of Britain, which should be destroyed.
What was he saying that, just saying it as he thought, or was he saying that to stoke up like a bit of...
No, that's what he thought.
Okay.
But, I mean, I was right at the front, and Fred was right next to me. And Fred was probably at the time, you know, the toughest, the hardest fella in Liverpool, you know. He was 6'4", like 25 stone. He was huge, and I've seen him fight, you know, unbelievable. And I just couldn't believe it. This guy was like 4 or 5 yards away.
Yeah.
So he goes to me, and I just lost my mother with cancer. So he mentioned cancer.
Okay.
So he goes, and I was screaming this guy, and I'd been going on about Liverpool. Margie Clark had been on. She was in the crowd as well.
Yeah.
Margie Clark, the actress from Letters of Brezhnev. And he was saying, you're wrong to this professor. Liverpool's fantastic. Look what they've done with the Albert Dock.
Yeah.
Look how they built the rope works. look at the arena they were building at the time, and she was kind of saying, we've just done Letter from Brezhnev, they're making a lot of movies, Liverpool looks like New York it was in the 30s, you know, it acts as a double for New York in movies. And these two guys were screaming. Then he goes, Liverpool is a cancer on the face of Britain, it must be destroyed. So I went, fucking destroyed, cancer. So I just kicked off, I jumped up. So Tony Wilson runs over.
So it's live, yeah.
Live?
Yeah.
So Fred grabs me, pulls me back. So he's going, Mr. Comedian Chappie, you don't know what you're talking about. So it all kind of like nearly went off.
What were you saying to him in response?
I can't remember, I was just gone, you know.
You didn't like say anything, because you're quite good talking like that. That's what I was curious about.
But I kicked off on Tony Wilson as well. Funny enough, strangely enough, this was in 1991. Last year, it was something to do with the Hacienda Club in Manchester on Granada Reports, the local channel here, Granada. They were doing this little thing about Tony Wilson.
Yeah.
And Lucy Meacock, who's one of the presenters on it, and she said, yeah, but he wasn't always liked, especially people from Liverpool didn't like him. And he's shown the clip again.
Clip of you?
Of me screaming at Tony Wilson, but he was a nice lad, you know, it was just one of those things.
So you didn't manage to have a debate with John McCririck? Because I think you would have fucked him off if you had a debate with him.
No, and I mean, to be honest with you, he came up to Liverpool a few years later, but it was all forgotten then, you know, it was all forgotten, and he's passed away, sadly, yeah.
Yeah. So what was your argument with Tony Wilson?
The same thing. Why are you letting the show go ahead when it's just obviously a set-up against Scousers?
Yeah, it's just stoking animosity.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, next time after that, let's talk about it.
Well, the next time after Granada up front, because I was playing the devil's advocate on a show like that, I was kind of kicking off, is basically what they wanted. A guy, John Stapleton from the BBC, they came on to me to do a morning show. What was the name of it now? I think it was called The Time and the Place, it was called.
Okay.
Time and the Place. And this was another strange, funny thing. I was going down, that's it, before that I should say, I was going down to Birmingham to do a show called Central Weekend Live, which is another weekend show, very similar to Tony Wilson's show. And I started off in the audience, but because I was doing very well at it, you know, with speaking and whatever, they put me as one of the presenters. It was a local show, only going out in the Midlands. It was only on for 40 minutes. And they had 3 segments of the show. One would be about asking the audience, what do you think about men and women's jobs? And it was all kind of innocuous, mild stuff.
Yeah.
One was about wolf whistling, fellas whistling girls on building sites, and should they do it or shouldn't they do it? Strangely enough, there was a feminist on, this woman. She's still working now, I've seen her on television. Her name, an American girl called Naomi Wolf.
Yeah.
She'd written a book saying basically men shouldn't whistle after women and all this business. So she's there in the audience. Mm-hmm. Sorry, not in the audience, in the front of the filming it. And I'm there as well. And that was the first time that I'd done it. I was out of the audience then. I was like co-presenting it. But when we'd done it, it didn't really work out for me that night. I don't know why, but it didn't. I didn't come across. It didn't come across very well. So they never really asked me to do it again. Central Weekend Live. Done a couple more things for them. Didn't hear from them. Then I heard from John Stapleton, and they came on with The Time and the Place. Now sometimes it was filmed in Nottingham, then it was filmed in London. So when I used to go on, there'd be girls going on. You'd see all these girls going on, and you see any argument where everyone agrees with what everyone says in the audience
doesn't make for good TV.
It's very boring. Yeah. So what they do, say for instance, there's one about obesity, and this girl was sitting there in the audience. She was like 30 stone. Yeah. And she was sitting there and she was going, "Oh yes, I've tried every diet under the sun. It's what it is the doctors have told me. It's my metabolism," and all that. So then you get someone else saying, "Oh yes, I feel so sorry for you. Have you experienced any prejudice because you put so much weight on? Do you think when you've been interviewed for work the people have thought we couldn't employ her because she is a large woman. Then when John Stapleton said, what do you think, Frankie? And I'd say, you're fat because you're greedy.
Yeah.
You're greedy. You eat too much.
And what was their reaction?
Well, it'd be an uproar. But that's what they wanted.
Yeah.
They wanted an uproar.
Did they brief you beforehand? Like, oh, we want you to do this? Or
yeah, they briefed me when they phoned me. They used to phone me from time and the place and say, Frankie, we're doing this thing about obese women.
Yeah.
Do you have an opinion about obese women? And I'd say, I haven't really got an opinion about them. If I see them in the crowd, I'll pick on them. And why, and this girl said, researchers said, why do you think, I knew what she wanted me for. Why do you think they are obese? I said, probably because they never stop eating. So she went, is that your opinion? I said, yeah, write that down. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
And then she said, oh, well, can you come down on Thursday to do? And I used to stay on the Wednesday night, do the show on the Thursday morning, then come back. But it was
weirdly, that topic's not controversial anymore. There's a fella called James Smith. He's like a huge personal trainer in the UK now. Yeah. He's got like a fucking diet book and everything else.
Yeah.
And he just keeps saying, he come on Piers Morgan and that. Yeah. saying something similar to what you said. He just said, look, you know, people keep saying, oh, I can't lose weight for this reason, that reason. All it is you need to just stop eating as much.
Well, look,
back then, was it really,
I know what you mean. I mean, some people, people have got different metabolisms. Just kind of like when people put weight on in different places. It's a bit more complicated than that. But that's why they wanted me.
Yeah.
They wanted me. And this girl, I must have made for good television. Because this, like, fat bird, she's about 30 stone. She's sitting on these two fucking seats right at the front. And I'm kind of like sitting off to the right. And John Stapleton says, Frankie Allen, I know you're a comedian and you often pick on people who are carrying a bit of weight. What do you think of Moira here? Why do you think that she's put weight on? Then the boom camera comes right onto me. So I just stand up and I go, hey, love, you're fat because you're greedy. And she tried to turn around in the chair. She couldn't turn around. It's like a horror movie. And she was like fuming. And she went, oh, how dare you? And all that. And all these other like feminists were all kicking off, shouting, how dare you? Get him out of the studio. But when we finished, John Stapleton used to say to me, that was great, Frankie.
Oh, on the sly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because it's
that's what he wants.
It's like a Jerry Springer thing. People want to see.
Yeah.
Confrontation. Yeah. They don't want to see everyone agreeing about the same thing.
Yeah, totally. So, did you used to get booked off for more TV shows off the back of that? Because you were on Kilroy, weren't you, at one point?
Kilroy, John Stapleton ran for years, got booked for a lot of things, and then apart from when Jeremy Kyle came in,
wasn't Kilroy like a big deal though back then?
He was Kilroy, very controversial.
Kilroy shows like what, like Jeremy Kyle?
Kind of similar. Yeah. I mean, he had to resign in the end when the PC Brigade took over. Yeah,
I didn't know he
mentioned something about Egyptians or something, and he only said, I mean, you nowadays, it's just 10 years ago, even then you have to be very careful what you said. And he said something like, well, that's all right for an Egyptian to say when you live in Egypt. Anyway, there was fucking lot of trouble over it, calling him a racist, and he just had to kind of like resign. So that was the end of Kilroy, but he was a good lad, yeah.
So you just kept going on similar shows like that, or is there anything that was different?
There was nothing else that I went on, kind of TV-wise, carried on with the kind of like interviews, winding people up. That's all I was used for, really.
And then nothing else after that? Nothing in terms of like going on... What about...
well, yeah, there was.
Men and Motors thing?
Yeah, the Men and Motors thing came up round about the same time that I was doing... John Stapleton. Okay. Early 90s. I'll tell you a very strange, funny story about John Stapleton's show, though, which a lot of people will laugh at. 1991, 92, I used to get phone calls from Stapleton, from his office, John Stapleton. Do you want to do it? They'd ring you on the Monday. Do you want to do the time and the place this Thursday? So you get the train down to London and you'd stay over. Then you get the train back. Now there's a guy, very famous guy, that was on one of the shows, and it became a good mate of mine. He's passed away. An East End lad, a black guy called Kenny Lynch. Do you ever remember Kenny Lynch?
No,
yeah, he was... Anyone a bit older will remember Kenny Lynch. Fantastic singer and comedian. Always on the Palladium. He was a friend of Jimmy Tarbuck's. Kenny Lynch.
How did you get mixed with him?
Just got as it took. We were in an audience in Birmingham, and these fellas were kicking off about some fucking subject, and it used to get quite. And Kenny Lynch was arguing with these fellas, and I knew John H. Tracy's a good mate of mine. He knows Kenny Lynch. He's a very good friend of Kenny Lynch. John Tracy, the boxer, was a mate of mine. So Kenny was kind of automatically one of the boys, a mate of mine, and he was sitting kind of next to me. And he'd said something about whatever it was, I can't remember. And these guys started kicking off on him. This fellow was getting very aggressive. So Kenny said to me, Frank, it's going to be trouble, it's going to be trouble. This was off the mic.
Yeah.
You couldn't see this. So he's going, I'm what's going to say, I don't know if it's a swear.
Yeah, just go for it.
So Kenny Lynch is sitting there, and I'm there. So this fellow with a big head, and he had a fucking big horse's head. He's shouting at Kenny Lynch. So Kenny's going, fucking kill this cunt, Frank. Or kill this cunt in a minute. Yeah. Fucking kill him. So he goes, who's he with? Don't look.
Yeah.
So I said, he's with some big fuck. I said, I'll kill that big fuck cunt. I said, so Kenny said, come on, Frank, come on. So we're walking round then to get these fellas, me and Kenny Lynch. And the security had to come, but they kept it off camera.
Okay.
I think they went blank for a bit. And this fella, he'd be only a fucking idiot, like a student type. His fucking bottle went. But Kenny Lynch said to me, Frankie, do you stay down here? I said, yeah. Stayed in Chiswick last night. And then he get this straight. He said, don't do that. I said, what do you mean? He said, next time they ring you, say, I'd love to do it. This is the way he always said. Yeah. Say, I'd love to do it. I'm terribly sorry. I'd love to do this show. Will you pass on my commission? Yeah. Tell them that you can't come down till the Thursday morning.
Yeah.
And they'll fly you down.
Okay.
So when the researcher came, she said, is that Frankie Allen? The way they are in London, Yeah, signed fucking Samantha from the BBC and all this. And we want you to come on John Stapleton once on the time and the place. I said, great, when is it? She said, this Thursday morning. And I said, oh, I am sorry, dear. I said, I have a big show in the Adelphi Hotel in Liverpool on the Wednesday evening. I said, I think that the first train's at 6 o'clock. I wouldn't get there till 9.
Yeah.
She went, that would be too late to go into makeup. But John did really want specifically to go on the show. It's about men who like women's clothing. So I was going, fucking hell, get me on it. Get me on it. And she went, I don't know how to get you down there, Frank, in time. I said, I wonder if... She went, just a moment. She came back. She said, Frankie, we'll fly you down. So they flew me down on this airline called VSL, this Dutch airline that flew from Liverpool at 7 o'clock in the morning to City Docklands Airport, then flew on to Rotterdam. So, great. So... I started flying to the jobs.
So did you end up staying with this Kenny guy when you were flying down there?
I didn't stay with Kenny Lynch overnight. No, I flew down to do the show, then flew back the same day.
So did you stay in touch with Kenny after that?
Not really, no. I didn't really know him that well with regards to... I used to kind of like, ask about if John Tracy had spoken to him and... yeah, but he was a big star in the 70s and 80s, Kenny Lynch, great, and a great lad. One of the boys, he wasn't snob or anything, he was dead, an East End lad, dead down to earth.
So we're talking about all these different chat shows, and then Men and Motors, which we kind of glossed over. So tell us about that. What was the script there?
What Men and Motors was, can't even remember what year that was. It was 91, 92. And
because a lot of people have seen that, because that's out up on YouTube now.
It's up on YouTube.
Yeah.
What it was, the guy, this Frank Sidebottom, have you heard of that?
No.
Well, a lot of people, Frank Sidebottom, it's this kind of like character that this guy kind of invented, and it's been on the television on Granada. Anyway, it's a long story. Anyway, he had the idea of bringing the old comedian show back to television. Yeah. The comedians in the 70s was a fantastic show, and it launched the careers of lots of people. Eddie Flanagan, Mickey Finn, Stan Boardman, George Roper.
I mean, they're just scousers.
Dougie Brown.
It was across the board, though, wasn't it?
Dougie Brown, yeah, well, I've got to mention them. Dougie Brown, Ken Goodwin. Bernard Manning was on the comedian show.
Yeah.
There were comedians from all over the Austin night. There were comedians from all over the UK. And Ken Goodwin, a brilliant comedian, very funny. Frank Carson, Northern Ireland comedian. All these comics.
To anyone who's like my age or younger, was that like the original comedian show?
That was the original comedian show.
And was that like primetime TV?
Primetime TV. It used to get millions of views. And I remember at the time in the 70s, don't forget, I was only a kid, I was starting off in comedy.
Yeah.
They were looked on. If you'd been on a comedian show on Granada on a Saturday night, 20 million people watching you, you were a god. It was kind of like they used to go around the clubs like heroes and they'd be paid thousands. And it was all big time if you got on the comedian show.
Yeah.
There was a lot of politics involved. Some comics who were good didn't manage to get on it if you weren't kind of picked for the team.
Okay.
If you know what I mean. There's some good comics that never got on it.
Why not?
I don't know. Stevie Fay was a good comic. He got on it. Colin Crompton, who ended up with his own show, Wheel Tappers and Shunters Club. A lot of older people remember that fantastic show on Granada Television. Went nationwide. He was on the comedian show. There were some bloody good comedians. But it kind of died out by the time we got to the 80s. Old school mainstream comedy, like on the comedian shows, kind of died out and was being overtaken or overlooked, really, by the alternative side of things.
Someone was saying, I was doing a bit of research into this myself, and they were saying that because the reason that it died out was because they used to have a big fucking whiteboard.
Yeah.
And a lot of the comics would tell the same jokes during that period of time, and they were saying, sometimes there would be, throughout the night, people would write, I've done this joke on the whiteboard or whatever, and then by the end of the night or by the end of the show, there wouldn't be anything left. Do you agree with that?
No, not really. I mean, every comic, every comic I knew, even in the 70s, they've all got their own act. They've all got their own material.
Yeah.
You might get a little bit of crossover, where one comic tells the same gag as another one. But no, and they're all working on different clubs, don't forget.
Yeah.
So, no, it was boom time. It was boom time for comedians in the 70s. But for whatever reason, I think it was the kind of like atmosphere, where the PC brigade started saying, you can't tell a joke about your wife anymore and because it's sexist and all this fucking rubbish.
It just wasn't in vogue anymore, basically.
Crap, it wasn't in vogue. So it died out, but it made a little bit of a resurgence in the late 80s. I did Opportunity Knocks and I was successful on that. And there's a few other shows that were kind of featuring, highlighting stand-up mainstream comedians.
Yeah.
So this guy who's evolved with Frank Sidebottom Dick, he came up with the idea of the comedian show from the 70s being rehashed as The New Comedians. And The New Comedians show was filmed. It was filmed in a club in Ashton, the other side of Manchester, the Witchwood Club. So it was filmed in front of a live audience with Granada TV crew, OB, outside broadcast. And it was a very, very hot day, and I'll never forget how hot it was. It was so hot. But I did it.
It was just one take, it was one night, yeah?
It was one take in an afternoon. It was filmed in the afternoon. And like everything else, they'd invited certain people down, so a lot of agents came down as the audience, and the agents are obviously involved with entertainment, so they're a hard audience.
Yeah, okay, and you're trying to impress them.
Well. So they actually brought some people from an old people's home to make up the numbers. It wasn't full, the club, we were filming. And they were great. They were a great audience. So I was on it. You had Sean Stiles from Liverpool, Chrissy Rock, the comedian, she was on it, Pauline Daniels, Tom Pepper, passed away, Tom, great comedian. You had Jimmy Carroll, who's was a great comedian. So all the local comics came on, and from the northwest, basically the whole of the north of England. Johnny Casson from Yorkshire. You got everybody who was knocking about on the circuit at the time came on to The New Comedian show.
What was it like?
Brilliant.
And
it was fantastic.
But I know that it was only, all I've seen is clips on YouTube, right? So a lot of people ask me to send messages, what was all that about? So
Yeah.
What was that about? Was it on the TV?
It was on the TV, yeah.
And did it go out regularly?
It was on a channel. It was on a Sky channel called Men and Motors.
Yeah.
And it was repeated 2 or 3 times. You know, series. It was very funny. I mean, I got some good gags from it watching it, because certain days when I wasn't involved, when I wasn't being filmed, and other comics were up there. You know, it was like, took about a week to film it. Different comics would arrive every day.
And it can come from
into the
that?
studio. Well, that's the thing, you see. I was getting a bit fed up, because I'd done quite a bit of TV, but no one had kind of picked me up. You need someone to pick you up and say, look, would you fancy doing a game show? Then you're talking about becoming a millionaire overnight then, with the money you get from the game shows, you know, to do kind of like The Point, or kind of like... I don't know, the thing that Les Dennis used to do.
I know what you mean, catchphrase.
All this stuff, but nobody ever approached me for whatever reason.
No, he didn't do it. Family Fortunes, he did.
Family Fortunes. Yeah. I've got an idea why I was never approached. I think it was because reputation, although I was very clean on television, you couldn't swear, and I could wear clean around the clubs as well. I was getting a reputation as a blue comedian, so I didn't even come into people's...
That was like a stigma thing.
Stigmatised, yeah.
So... That's the last time before...
Last but one, really.
Last but one. And the last but one, I'll just fill you in a little bit from my end. This is when I've just come out of uni. I think I was about 20, maybe a little bit earlier. So it was about 10 years ago, 12 years ago.
I don't think it was as long as that, you know, about 7, 8 years ago.
Nah, it was about that long, you reckon? Yeah. Anyway, I get to this email. We've talked about the Opportunity Knocks thing earlier. Yeah. Just this, I'd built a website for you.
Okay.
Got our mate Jacko to sort a website out for you.
Chris Jackson.
Yeah. And we always...
Sorry, Chris Jackson.
We have a running joke. We say that to him every time we see him, don't we?
I know.
Sorry, Chris Jackson. Woo! I am for
Anyone
real.
remembers the song by Outkast? Sorry, Miss Jackson. We used to sing, sorry, Chris Jackson.
Yeah. It's like just, anyway, basically, build this website, gets this email straight away. Hey, Frankie, would like you to come on the BBC as part of this Opportunity Knocks Revisited. Basically, I didn't have a fucking clue about any of this, so I phoned my dad and said, what's the scenario here? What do we do? You told me about the whole Opportunity Knocks thing. Yeah. Basically, the BBC were putting on the one show anyone who'd won Opportunity Knocks previously back on the BBC, which, to be fair, at the time...
Seemed a good idea.
Seemed a great idea. I mean, BBC One exposure based on the fact that you were just doing clubs and pubs. Were big
I had the suspicion it was going to be horrible, and it was horrible in a way because... people get mixed up. Anyone who's like 70 will remember Opportunity Knocks in the fucking 60s. I don't remember it.
Yeah.
But they revived Opportunity Knocks in 1987. But on the one show, they brought along people who were on Op Knocks in the fucking 60s.
Yeah.
Like this band, Middle of the Road, that sang Chirpy, Chirpy, Cheep, Cheep. All these groups and comedians that had been going in the 60s, they were bringing on with me that had appeared when I was like fucking young in 1987. So when I looked, I thought, fuck, I'm not going on here.
We've just walked, basically...
It just looked like a crematorium.
We got the train down to London. We goes into this room. Me and my dad, we went down together. Gets picked up in a taxi, goes to the BBC studios, walked in, and literally it was just... imagine a room. Imagine you walked into an old people's home.
It was just like a geriatric room. It was horrible. Yeah. And I said to you, I'm not going on here. Yeah, I'm not embarrassing myself.
He said to me, basically, Ray Winston was on the show with that other guy out the office, Martin something.
Ray Winston, was it Martin Kemp? Was it?
No, not Martin Kemp. The guy out of the office. I can't think of what his name is. You'll know who he is.
They were judging what the format was, what the actual headline of the show was. Have they still got it?
Oh yeah.
So basically, it was of people that appeared on Opportunity Knocks 20 years ago. Are they still any good, or are they like fucked up now? Have they lost it? Have they lost the time in? Have they lost the voice? Do they look too old? But as I say, they brought on people from the 60s and mixed them with the people from the fucking 90s, so it was horrible.
Yeah.
You know, so anyway...
I had to pull the producer.
Yeah.
Ben, he's a nice lad, wasn't he? And I said, listen, mate, my dad's just a little bit worried here. Is this a setup? Is this like taking the piss out of old people? Like, you know, and about how kind of like, if, in inverted commas, it was old hat. And he said... no, mate, we're the fucking BBC. We can't do that.
Yeah, well,
like, we're you know.
The only good thing was I got to meet Ray Winston, didn't we? And Ray Winston's fella. A lovely fella. You know, he's obviously an international actor. And what a great lad. And he's a friend of John H. Tracy, who's a mate of mine. He's an East End lad. Dead down to earth. A lovely fella. And great lad, Ray Winston. And I believe he was...
Actually, Chris Evans was
good boxer.
Proper sound as well.
Chris Evans was fantastic. You know, you get a shock with some of these people. You get an image of him on a television. You might look at him and go, I bet you he's a bit of a prick if you met him. He'd be big-headed. But when we did the one show and I was telling me gags, Chris Evans was trying to get me off because it was on for too long, but I didn't give a fuck because I wanted people to remember me. And Ray Winston, I knew Ray through John H. Tracy. You know, he spoke to John on the phone. I phoned John up and he spoke to John. Hello, boy. You know, the way the East End lads talk to each other and just like two scousers talking to each other. So he liked me anyway, Ray, and he was going, you know, what did you think? Has Frankie still got it? And he was going, oh, yeah, he's brilliant. So that gave me a bit of a lift. Again, sadly, didn't kind of like do anything for me with regard to lifting my career.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I think that's the last time you were on TV, wasn't it? So maybe... You know, maybe... Me and you might get our own TV show.
We might get our own TV show. And I know it's strange. All the times I went on television, never got anywhere. And a little phone like that, somebody filmed me in a tiny pub. And the next thing, you know, 20 million people are watching it and fucking doing well. So it's strange, isn't it? Very strange.
All good. So, look, we're going to kind of wrap up there. But let's first talk about big thing going on tonight. Everyone always asks us, are you in red or a blue? We had a lad from Ireland phoned us on Monday. He said, boys, first thing I've got to ask you, are you red or a blue? So
we're Reds. We are the red men. We're the red men, but we're not bitter, you know, towards Everton. If Everton can catch up with Liverpool, best of luck to them.
Yeah. And
I don't think it'll be this year, by the way.
Liverpool are lifting the Premier League trophy tonight. First time I've ever seen Liverpool win the league in 30 years, so made up.
Well, look, obviously I can remember when they won it in 91, you know, with Kenny Dalglish was the manager. It's fantastic. And it's great for the city. I mean, we're the most successful club in history now in England. You know, we've got the... And it's weird, isn't it? Because of the coronavirus, it's done us a favour in a way. Because they haven't had the Champions League final. So Liverpool...
They're still going to have it.
Oh, no, I didn't say they're not having it. They're having it.
Yeah.
But they haven't had it.
Yeah.
So, instead of Liverpool holding the Champions League, holding the European Cup for 12 months, we've been champions for 18 months.
Yeah.
So, it's July now, and Liverpool are still the champions of Europe.
Yeah, it's true.
Because the other two teams, whoever it is...
So you're saying by the time they lift the trophy, which I think would have still been the case anyway, the champions of England, champions of Europe, all the rest of it.
Yeah, and
world champions.
World champions. So we've got the 3 cups as we speak.
Yeah.
So what Liverpool have done, they've held, this is another record that they've set that people don't realise, because of the virus, they've held the cup longer than anyone else. We will have held it for 18 months, nearly 2 years, when as normally you'd only hold it for a year.
Yeah.
Because of the virus.
A couple more things to speak about. We've got a big show that we've just launched in Liverpool. We went down to see the venue yesterday. It's going to be in Stanley Park, outside the Isle of Gladstone. It's a fully outdoor event, so it means you can social distance, so it means we can have fucking loads of people there basically without, you know, there being any issues or anyone worrying about coronavirus. And we went down to see it yesterday.
We went down, we met Danny, one of the organisers, and we had a look around where we're going to actually perform. And there's a beautiful bandstand in the grounds. The kind of like the ground that we're walking on is fantastic. All tiled, there's grass, it's lovely, beautiful location. And I saw where all the seats are going to be put. When I got on the stage area in the bandstand, I just jumped up and went straight away. Just knew instinctively we're going to have a fantastic night there. It's going to be great. Yeah, so tickets are on sale for that now. Make sure you get yours quickly because it's going to sell out. It's going to sell out. Yeah. And the thing is, it's weird, isn't it? Because it's like anyone out there who kind of like, if you're a doctor, you can look at someone and you can just look at them and go, yeah, oh, this guy's got diabetes. Or if you're a plasterer, you can walk into a room and go, yeah, look at this room. This is going to take me 1.5 days to do. Or if you're a mechanic or whatever, you can even just listen to a car and you can go, his head gasket's gone. It's like me. I've estimated I've been on the stage 7,000 times. Yeah. I've probably done more work than any other comic in the UK. So having said that, well, probably Roy Brown's done more than me, Chubby Brown. He's been going longer than me. But I've done it 7,000 times anyway. I reckon I've worked it out. So I know instinctively, just walking into a room, what it's going to be like when I suss out the way that the things are logistically. When I saw the stage and where people are going to sit, it's going to be fucking fantastic.
You just thought the boss. So look, tickets are out for that now. Anywhere else in the UK or anywhere else that you guys want us to come in the UK, please just let us know. And also, if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, we've had 1,000 downloads in a week. Big thank you to everyone. Make sure you give us a review on there, because we want to know, what do you like about the podcast? What do you reckon?
What don't you like?
Well, we haven't got a clue. So if you want to see more of Frank's stories, if you want to do a Q&A, which we're going to do in the next couple of weeks, please just let us know what you'd be after. And if you're not watching on YouTube or whatever, give us a big thumb up. Make sure you get yourself subscribed. And before we go, I just want to talk about the Manchester vlog that went out yesterday. Available to view online on YouTube. Absolutely flying in terms of views. So big thank you to everyone who's watched that.
Thanks for everyone who watched it.
What do you think of it?
Oh, it's amazing. And we've got young Dave with us. Davey Ford, a friend of ours, and he is a real character. He's so funny. He's so unintentionally funny. Very funny without realising it. And he features very heavily in it. And James Kilbo, our support comedian. Jimmy's funny as well. He can be funny. And we had a great time at the Bread Shed. We got waited on hand and foot with some lovely food. Steak and ale pie, chips, gravy, peas, carrots, turnips. Fantastic night. And the audience were brilliant. One of the things, I've just got to tell you this, it's a strange thing, just to finish off what we talked about earlier on about rivalry between different cities. There's rivalry between different areas in cities, isn't there? It's like in Liverpool, the south end of Liverpool don't really like the north end of the city.
Well, it's very different.
Very different.
Yeah.
But do you remember when we done the Bread Shed in Manchester? Some lads came into the dressing room and they were from Oldham.
Yeah. I don't know if I remember. Go on.
Yeah, and Oldham's like about, not really, they're not technically in Manchester.
And they say they're all fucking nuts in here, aren't they?
What they were saying when they came in. The Oldham lads were sitting up kind of like at a balcony area, and the lads from Ancoats, which is in Manchester, and Beswick, which is in Manchester, were sitting downstairs. They were all together, and they're like real Manchester City lads. I don't mean the football club, I mean the city of Manchester. That's where they're from. It's like me being from Old Swan, Kensington, very close to the city centre. They're city centre lads. But I didn't know at the time that the Oldham lads and the Beswick and Ancoats lads, the city centre, got a bit of rivalry, and the Oldham and Bolton lads looked down on them.
Okay.
And what they were shouting down was, some fella said something, why don't you sit down here, lads? And they went, we don't want to sit there because we don't want to get a rash. See how funny is that? Yeah. What they were saying is, if you sit by someone from fucking Ancoats, you might catch scabies or something, So it's weird, you get it in every city, don't you?
But Manchester, you talked about you cutting your teeth in Manchester over the years. The video is actually titled "You Scouse Bastard," and the reason being...
Yeah, well, the lads were singing "You Scouse Bastard," But it's only a bit of fun. It was only a laugh.
Yeah.
They were great lads.
Brilliant. So, that's out now if you want to check that out. Another podcast will be out next week. We're going to give you these every single week now. So, big thanks to everyone who's been listening, everyone who's been tuning in, watching. And, really appreciate all your feedback. Because, as we've said, we really, really appreciate everyone listening or watching. But sometimes we'll sit down and go, what the fuck should we talk about today?
But it just comes out, and when you think we've done this today, and it's very interesting, really. I think it will come across as interesting.
Oh, yeah, I hope so. But look, if you want us to cover certain topics, if you want us to do, certain subjects, or you'd like Frank's take on anything, or myself, let us know, and we'll look that up.
We'll try and incorporate it into the hour. So thanks for listening to us, and big thanks to Will, who's got to be the UK's finest interviewer.
Appreciate that, yeah. If any TV execs are watching, you know who to get on.
Get a young handsome man on your screen. He should be presenting the fucking match of the day. He should be on.
Nice one. Big thanks to everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.